Good morning, all you happy people, and those who have yet to have coffee and are not quite happy. Anyway, it is still morning, right? Pretty sure it is. Yeah, it's 11:30, so it's still morning. Have you ever had one of those days where you just wake up and you go, I don't want to adult? And then you realize, no, I want to be a Toys R Us kid. That's how I'm identifying today. Even though it doesn't even exist. Like, Toys R Us no longer exists. I'm an 80s kid. I grew up in the 80s. I was born and I thrived, got my ass beat a few times, quite a few. And, I survived. I have this well-rounded, twisted, sarcastic personality that survived the 80s and 90s. Okay. Kids now wouldn't survive a week in our childhood at all. A week. 1 week. I was taking my daughter's friend home. I had both of my girls with me. So I had all 3 girls in my car. Yep. 3 girls. And their friend said that she would love it if things went back to how it was in the 70s and 80s and even the 90s. And I was like, you guys wouldn't last a day. And they were floored. They were like, why not? And I said, first of all, no cell phones. They didn't exist. There was a payphone. You kept a quarter, maybe 2, in the bottom of your shoe or in your pocket, but you had it with you. So if you went anywhere, even if it was just a little Johnny's house down the block, you had money to use a payphone to call someone. Their friend was like, well, I would still need my cell phone because it has all the phone numbers. I was like, no, you learn the important phone numbers and that's it. Or you write them down and you carry them. Like, that's the 80s. Or if you mouth off to your parent, let's just pick a year. I don't know. 1986. Your parent could backhand you. And, a couple people might have been like, that's not nice. At least wait till you get home. But otherwise, nobody would bat an eye because we knew better. We knew not to mouth off. We knew not to get out of line. We knew not to be disrespectful. We knew if mom or dad said, do the dishes, you better do them right. Or all the dishes were coming out of the cabinet and being washed. Hand washed. No dishwasher. We had one. But they would be hand washed, every single one of them, dried and then put away. Or even inspected. And if you missed a spot, guess what? You started all over again. That was life in the 80s and 90s. You didn't bring home failing grades. You didn't. Because you knew better. You would have your ass handed to you. You would be studying whatever you failed over and over and over and over until you knew it upside down, backwards, inside out. Like, you would be able to dictate it in German at that point. That's how it was. Kids have absolutely no clue what life was like then. Last year at Christmas, and I caught a little bit of grief from this, I decided that I was gonna teach my kids a lesson. I wasn't mean. I didn't backhand them in public or, that kind of thing. It might have been a little bit of mean. And I had been planning this out. Like, this was a strategic move on my part. I saved cereal boxes and, Cheez-It boxes. Smaller boxes. And I had gotten tired of them acting like, hey, Christmas, I get to get spoiled, and I can't be told no. Want to bet? So I wrapped these boxes. They were the ones that went under the tree first, not gifts. They were in a distinct wrapping paper, so obviously I knew whether or not I was throwing, hundreds of dollars away. And I picked up 4 boxes, mind you, cereal boxes. Okay, empty cereal boxes. I might have put like a couple of sticks or something, so that way if they were picked up and shook, they made noise. Because kids are kids. And I told my girls that I was tired of how they were acting, and I was tired of them not doing chores and not helping out because, mom has to work and pay the bills because that's what pays for their phone. That's what pays for the electricity and the groceries that they seem to eat within a day. And I had had enough. So I let them each pick a gift. And I burned them. Because I was done. They didn't know what were in these gifts. They really thought they were Christmas gifts. And I burned them. And told them that if I'm going to be throwing away money and just expecting them to do chores and they're not going to do it, and I'm going to have to go to work a 40-hour week, come home, clean the house, do what I need to do for me, and then start back over every single day, that, hey, I might as well throw away the gifts too, because that's just throwing away money in the first place. A couple of my friends, they were like, yes, come do that for my kids. Flat out, like that. They were totally in support because, one of my daughters was in tears. The other daughter was pretty ticked off at me. Which, okay, I'm fine with it. And a couple of people kind of got on me and said that, you have to let kids be kids and just let it go. And it was one of those, my mentality is, how long do I have to let it go? How long do I put up with walking all over me and expecting the world when I can't even say, clean your room? How long do I have to let that go? My girls are 13 and 14 and a half. No. I am able to tell my kids, get your ass up and do your chores. If I have to get up and I have to wash my laundry, I have to get up and I have to make sure that I have all my supplies, my sheets, my towels, my blankets, everything for work. I have to do all of that. And then that money has to buy 4 new backpacks for one kid in one semester. Seriously, that was this last year. 4. Because that's how insane these kids are nowadays. They just have this total act of entitlement. And it's like, no, quit. The only thing you're entitled to is breathing because air is free. Like, that's your entitlement. Your entitlement is if you decide not to wipe your ass, okay, you're going to be the stinky one in class. Your entitlement is if you don't want to brush your hair and have this huge mass of knotted up hair in the back of your head, and your friends will make fun of you and they will call you smelly and they will wonder how on earth you have a boyfriend. That's my 14 and a half year old. But if that's what you want, you are entitled to disgrace yourself that way. Okay. However, as a parent, I am entitled to establish rules. I say entitled because there are parents who don't give a flip at all. They will let their kids, run around in the front yard in nothing. And there are parents that will let their daughters wear these little itty bitty Daisy Duke shorts and tight fitting shirts with a low cut And, they've got eyeliner and eyeshadow. They look like a geisha. And that's what those parents do. And that's fine. That is totally fine. I have zero judgment for those parents. There are parents that, they don't agree with kids coloring their hair. Guess what? Coloring their hair is way less permanent than a tattoo or a baby. Like, pick the lesser evils. Hair color. Simple. Babies, not simple. At one point, my now 13-year-old, she was about 6 or 7, and their school had a bad year of lice, and it was a nightmare. And my daughter has super thick, curly hair. Like, let's just say, building a new driveway is easier than getting through her hair. So I asked her, I'm gonna need to cut your hair at this point because I can't get it all out and you have a ton of hair. So my 7-year-old got a mohawk, and she rocked it. It was awesome. She totally rocked it. She looked great with it and whatnot. And guess what? It got rid of the lice. Awesome. Like, yay. Mom did something right. So one day, we're at a gas station, and, she's this itty-bitty, skinny little thing in flowers and, dressed like a little girl with a mohawk, just whatever. I'm paying for gas and getting us something to drink. And one of the ladies gave me grief about my daughter having a mohawk, that I shouldn't, allow her to be like that. And I was like, well, she's my daughter. Like, I just kept it super simple and didn't mouth off at this lady even though I wanted to, because it's my kid. I don't have to defend myself to anybody. The guy behind me, covered in tattoos, looked really intimidating. And if he happens to see this video, dude, you're awesome. You totally just completely, wow. Thank you. Okay. Anyway, so this guy, he tells me that his daughter had a mohawk at one point, and that a parent that can do that totally rocks. Probably not those words. I mean, mind you, this is 6 years ago, but it was still one of those, yes, somebody else gets it, that parenting is not by the book. It can't be. There is no book. I know full well when I had my kids, no book came out too. There was no click it remote where you can go back in time and fix it, or you can skip past through the fights and everything. There is no guideline. You're just kind of what in the world do I do? And that's parenting. That's what it is. Bottom line. My oldest, both of my girls are super talented. When I talk about either of my kids, I promise you, there is no bias. There is no favorite. There is no, go live with your dad. There isn't that, because I love both of my girls with every being in my soul. Anyway, my oldest, very artistic, very secluded. She doesn't trust people. I know her past, and I get it. I completely get it. Anyway, last summer, she told me that she was a furry. Now, okay. Nowadays, parents are bracing to hear I'm gay or I self-identify as a boy or a girl. You know, we're having to wrap our brains around these things because it's totally different and we didn't have that growing up. So, okay. My daughter tells me this and I look at her and I was like, so you're a squirrel? And she was like, what? No. And I was like, well, you just said you're a furry, so that means you're an animal. And she's like, that's no. And I was like, okay, but you're self-identifying as a furry, which is like an animal creature. And, you know, the first thing I thought was squirrel. ADHD. I can't help it. And she was like, no, and she starts explaining what anamorphic is and these fursonas, which is a personality for this furry, whatever a person makes. Okay. And I got to, I mean, before I started doing the research and whatnot, I asked her, I was like, do you realize that some of these people that dress up in these fur costumes are actually pretty creepy? Like, they're not all there. Some of them, you know, want to pet each other. And they could be they could be Pennywise in a fursuit. Like, you know, hi, kiddos. And then he's sadistic. Or she. That could be in a fursona. And she was like, yes, I know, that does exist. And she starts telling me that, you know, and she had like an intellectual conversation about this. Okay. You know, it was really hard for me to wrap my brain around it. Really hard. But I support my kids, no matter what. And, you know, she shows me these documentaries where reporters will go and talk to people who have fursonas and whatnot. And a lot of these people that do it, they do have social anxiety and they do have that discomfort around people. And it was one of those, that's why she can identify as that, because that's who she is. She doesn't trust people. So at least being able to mask herself and being somebody else or a fursona, she can be around people. And that, I took comfort in that. Not that, you know, she wants to be this fox creature animal thing. And she's a phenomenal artist. Absolutely phenomenal artist. And I realized that her comfort was that she can be something she's not and be around people. But that's also kind of sad that society makes us mask who we are. I am this blunt, straightforward pain in the ass. Literally, that's who I am. I am a lot to take in. Flat out. There are probably countless people who can't stand me. And here's the thing. I don't give a flip. I don't. Because at the end of the day, what a stranger says or thinks about me has zero to do with what I'm thinking about at night, or when I hug my kids, or when I'm accomplishing something amazing. Strangers have nothing to do with that. And that's how it should be. Other people that you won't be talking to next week should have nothing to do with how you feel today. And that's how I raise my girls. So if one of them is a furry, great, because she can figure out who she is. And that is most important. And she can be who she is. It's just sad that that's where our society is. Another bad thing about our society is, 10 years ago, I could have an opinion about how bread is sliced, and nobody would care. And now, John Hancock could have an opinion how bread is sliced, and suddenly there is a change to it because it has become this new, scary thing. Who cares? Everybody has opinions. That's great. Congratulations. You are a free thinker. Guess what? The first word in that very statement is free. You don't have to pay for it. You don't get taxed on it, which is awesome because pretty much everybody's broke. You can be you. You can think independently and use your brain. It's an amazing concept. Congratulations, you fully can do that. It doesn't mean that I suddenly cannot, have purple hair and blue eyelashes because somebody else finds those colors offensive. Or that, people can't say Merry Christmas. You have to say Happy Holidays because, somebody might be Jewish and there's Hanukkah. Or one of my best friends is Hindu. It doesn't mean we don't say Merry Christmas. Guess what? If I say Merry Christmas, that is what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say Happy Holidays because that's not who I am. If you don't like that, don't listen. If somebody sneezes, I'm the one in the middle of the store that if somebody down the aisle sneezes, I'm going, bless you. It doesn't necessarily mean that I am this, Protestant, Baptist, Catholic, whatever religion, and I'm overly religious. That's not what that means. It means I'm acknowledging you sneezed, and I'm using manners and etiquette and just saying bless you. If you don't like it, oh well. Or, somebody could turn around and be like, well, I'm atheist. Or I'm agnostic. Okay. Then unbless you? You sneezed? Okay. Like, what does a person say? Seriously. Okay. One of my daughters and I, we were having this theological conversation about what heaven is like. And she was talking about somebody that she was listening to on YouTube talking about what they think heaven is like, and they're in an airport, and it's a famous actor, and I'm drawing a blank right now. Anyway, and I told her, and I said, well, when we dream, it's our subconscious dreaming. It's not necessarily, I really can't wait to sign for that new car tomorrow. That's not necessarily what we're dreaming about. It's our subconscious. It's whatever our subconscious is still dwelling on or dealing with or excited about. It's not necessarily what we thought instantly before we closed our eyes. And I told her, well, what if heaven is what your subconscious says it is? What if it is the airport with the family and the signs? What if it is, living in Antarctica or Alaska and you get to see the northern lights and polar bears and, all that stuff. Or what if it is the beautiful colors and your culture, 200 years ago? What if heaven is what you make it, not necessarily what somebody else says it is? So, that being said, and this is all in the same conversation with my daughter, I told her, I was like, if somebody doesn't believe in Christ or the devil, and they think that none of it exists, does that mean when they die that they are in a black hole? Like, if it is based on your subconscious, like if it doesn't exist, what happens after you die? Are you in a black box? I mean, obviously you don't know because you're not dead, because you're watching this. Maybe. And you're probably yelling at me and correcting me, asking a ton of questions about why is she da-da-da-da-da-da. But that's literally, what if it is our subconscious just going, nope, only my favorite family members are there, my favorite people. And every third Wednesday, I get to sit down and talk with philosophers and my heroes in life. What if that is heaven? People have near-death experiences and they see a bright light. What if they see a bright light because that's what we are told? We are told that before we cross over, we walk into this bright light and we go through the gates of heaven, and St. Peter or Paul or David is there and walking us through. What if that is simply what our subconscious thinks it is? I mean, this is probably way too theological for early in the morning. I mean, it's not even early, but what if? I'm the type of person that asks what and why. That's just how I am. It's why I love science and history, because why? Okay, so what if heaven is what you make it? That's how life is. Life is what you make it. The mistakes that you make and how you bounce from them is what defines you as a person. So what if that is literally what your life is? Life 101. It's what you make it. It's just what I think. Anyway, you guys are free to comment and post and, give me anything you want me to talk about, because trust me, I have an opinion on everything. But guess what? Here's the bright side. You don't have to care. So, if you get mad about it, I'm sorry. Sort of. If you don't get mad about it and you enjoy it, great. I made you smile. I made you laugh. Something other than I'm so bored. Just one of those things. Anyway, feel free to comment, and you'll hear from me again soon.